We are live at the moment, Serena. Thank you so much for being here with us today in
Thank you
this
for asking me.
very unexpected situation, in this very unexpected interview, which our souls invited us on, right?
Yes, because it's the 5th, and that's a very special number for both of us.
Yes, exactly. And we accepted the invitation because on my side, I am very passionate about your story. It's so relevant to me, what you're going through, and I really feel that it's something that everyone can benefit from. What
Yes.
about you, Serena? What's your motivation?
Around 2007, I started to feel this nudge that I needed to start writing about my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose initially was so that I could connect to my story, because the degree of dissociation that I had lived with was so complete that I didn't even know I lost time. That's how well dissociated I was. And so as I started to write about my journey, and I sat at the computer with my eyes shut, and I would type, and I would let the soul wisdom just flow through me and type onto the page. And then I would look at this document and go, did that really happen? And then I
Wow.
talked to Norma, and she'd say, oh, yes. And so it was a way of starting to connect to me. And I know people, it's really hard to comprehend, but if you are trained from 3 days old to not be in your body, to not connect with your soul energy, to push away anything that is authentic to survive, the layers of dissociation that my soul energy, the wisdom of me created to keep me alive, was so thick. It was like rock.
Hmm.
And so now, as I share my story, I know that even though my story is an extreme case, everyone, there's not one human being, no matter if they're a glamorous movie star with lots of money and they seem to have just flowed through life, everyone has woundings. Everyone has parts of themselves that keeps them stuck. And running from that part of themselves still keeps them stuck and keeps a part of themselves in that pain of whatever happened, if it was 10 years ago or when they were a little child. And so it's about freeing ourselves, falling in love with ourselves, and meeting ourselves. And that's the greatest gift, is meeting ourselves,
Hmm.
in compassion and not judgment.
Hmm.
So that's
When I read your book, which I couldn't put down, as soon as I got your book, I grabbed it and I read it through in like 2 days or something. Because it spoke to me, because I also I've been doing my own integration process, and it was like that, exactly as you explained. Of course, my case for this lifetime wasn't extreme like yours. It was in others, but not now. But what I questioned myself at the time that I was reading was, wow, what a what a magnificent case of surrender. Because even though it was very, very hard, and there were moments where you seemed you wouldn't be able to face more pain, you always said yes, and you kept on going. How did you manage to do that? So,
Well, now I didn't always say yes initially.
mm,
I said no a lot. I
mm,
was a fighter.
mm-hmm,
And the brilliance of soul, imagine this body and there is no I, there is no Serena yet. And we meet this woman named Norma Delaney, and she's so beautiful. And remember, all these parts of me are child parts, very little parts. And the connection that we start to have with her becomes so primary. She literally opens the door to a reality that we never knew. None of the parts knew. We knew terror, we knew danger, we knew threats, we knew pain, we knew death intimately. We didn't know aliveness and compassion and brilliance and love. And then we met this lady, and every morning we'd call her the many me's, and we would be terrified every single morning. And she would do something as simple as pick up the phone and say, hello. And that voice over the phone, it wasn't the words that she said, it was the energy that she was. And it touched me and said, it's okay. There is a different way. There is a different reality. And so whenever she would say something to me that I didn't like, and that was often, and I might say no, she'd say, take a breath, come out of the fight. Are you willing to look at this? And sometimes I really wasn't willing to look at it. It threatened. It was like she would open some part of me that was raw and bleeding, and then she'd say, now come on, touch it. And I'd go, I'm not touching it. That hurts like hell. Yeah. And I would react horribly. Those parts of me would react. In the beginning, we would switch. I don't like that. Goodbye. You know,
someone else would come in.
But that's how we lived, all the parts of me. When in the beginning of the book, when Norma says, Roberta, stay here a minute, breathe with me. Do you really think you're not a multiple? And she just bursts out and sobs. That kind of coping with life had been a constant for 41 years when we met her. So the love that I had for her, the connection that I felt to her, that became so important that it was more important than running. And my soul knew that if my heart could open a little to someone loving me, that would be the anchor.
Then it would open more and more and more. The beauty in this is how magnificent that you, even though you went through what one can call literally hell, and more literally than anyone can imagine.
Yes.
There was something in you still alive saying, we're going for integration. And there was Norma on your path right there, like, you know, this magic fairy godmother right there to do it with you. So what I mean is, you know, no matter how much hell one has gone through, if we listen to that calling and follow through, the magic fairy godmother or whatever will be there. And Norma has been so fantastically compassionate. I mean, it's amazing the dedication that she has given to you, you know, for all these 24 years. It's just beyond imagination.
And compassion, this is important, Tania. Compassion isn't just this sweet, kind. It's the willingness to speak the truth. When the person sitting across from you says, I don't want to hear what you're telling me, and more angry than that. And Norma would sit there in her stillness, and she would say, are you brave enough? Would you be willing enough to listen to this child, to this part of you? And some of the things I had to face were inconceivable. Many times throughout the work, my soul would say, in the beginning, she'd say, you have no idea what you've lived through. And it was true.
Yeah.
And I go, okay. And then Norma would say, you don't know that this is true. Because I kept saying, I think this might be a lie. I think I might just be so sick that I just want attention. But the brilliance that fragmented me and broke me into multiple pieces to keep me alive knew how to then bring this mass of multiple parts back home again, a breath at a time. And Norma had no idea. I had no idea what it meant to integrate, not the kind of integration we were doing. It was so outside the scope of what I had learned in the hospital. This is a brilliant integration given to all mankind, that they can heal their wounds if they will stop running from themselves. And Norma would sit there across from me or sit next to me, and she'd hold me, she'd speak to me, she'd breathe with me, she'd teach me truth. I didn't even know the truth from my reality that was created to keep me alive was so real to me that I didn't know what truth was.
Another thing that was really striking to me was throughout your book, you recount some episodes, and you recount it with such compassion again, that you are not, we can see by the way you are telling your story, that you are not angry at your parents, at the government. You have completely been able to release that anger and to tell your story from a point of absolute compassion. And that is also something absolutely amazing, because for most humans, anyone having gone through what you have gone through would want to sue the government, sue your parents, or whatever, or just stay in the revenge mode forever after. And of course, they would not be able to integrate because the anger would be keeping.
But Tania, that's the beauty of this planet called Earth, okay?
Yeah.
This Earth is yin and yang, dark and light, evil and good, okay?
Exactly.
It is the world of the mind. Now, I didn't know that when I first started working with Norma. Now, I've always been intuitive. In the early 90s, before I was diagnosed as a multiple, the archangels came to me, Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Donna, and they surrounded me with such love, and they spoke to me of this journey I was going to take and what this journey was about, and that I would be a bridge for mankind to discover themselves, that I would be a light. And those were all nice words, but the love that they brought, the compassion that they brought was so real that even though I was a multiple with over 300 personalities, they came and loved me just before I was diagnosed a multiple personality. So my journey, don't think I wasn't mad and angry and wanted to.
At some point, yes.
At some point. And I had to be with that and allow me to be angry. But if I stay in the anger, then I am creating a toxicity of energy in my body, in my beingness, that hurts only me. And when I began to realize, because when I was a little girl and I sat in the church, because my father would take us to church so that we looked normal. And I'll never forget the priest saying, Jesus said, you can do this and more. And those things just radiated in me because of the soul that I was, that I am. So I knew that for me, I could not hold on to the anger. And of course, I was encouraged by Norma. You get to choose. What do you want to do? And so it was a choice of love for self, you know, love for self. And one of my youngest son asked me about a month ago, he says, so how in the world don't you just want to kill everybody? Or you're not just so angry at everybody? And I laughed and I said, sweetie, I said, I had to realize I was the creator of my journey. Now, those are not casual words, Tania. Slowly throughout the years, I knew that I had chosen my parents. I didn't know why. I had no awareness of what had happened to me. I just knew that I had chosen my parents for a reason. So when Hitler came to this planet, he brought a level of evil onto the planet that had not been present before. I was born into that level of evil. And I realized that I chose to do that so that I could wake up to the game of fear in all of its flavors and make a new choice, because I had been stuck for thousands and thousands of years. Now, for me, I've always been very intuitive, so I could see past lives as easily as seeing a memory. And I knew it was real because of how it resonated within me. And so for me to stay angry at my birth parents or the government is me choosing to stay stuck.
And to hurt yourself, basically.
And every person has to come to it of their own volition. Some people never do. They choose to stay unconscious and angry, and they die of that anger. But there is a toxicity to fear that people don't realize is very real. And that's what the breath is all about. This soul breath, when we choose to bring it in through our nose because we love us, and we choose to breathe deep into our belly. And as we exhale that breath, that old breath, that is the piece of integration, that is the miracle part, the magical part. So we're choosing to heal and let go of the toxicity, the fight, the trauma, the woundings, that only we can do it.
So before you started working with Norma, you had already been working with psychiatrists and all that, and taking medication and all of that, right? And everyone said it wouldn't be possible for someone like you to have a regular life, to integrate. And then Norma shows up because you called for her, and she also was present for that call. And she said, yes, of course we can do it. Did you keep on taking medication after that, or were you sort of completely only in the hands of your souls and Kuan Yin, and of course the other masters that guide you and accompany you?
Very early on in our work, within a few months of our work, it was time to let it go. And my doctor was very concerned because he thought that I would end up in the hospital again. And it was this urge, this push, I have to get rid of the medication. It doesn't feel like it's helping me. And so in Norma's willingness to talk to me as many times in the day as I needed to, she was always there, you know. Bless Garrett, because I used to drive him nuts. He had never met anybody with that much fear, that terrorizing fear that was something I had lived with my entire life and thought was normal. But she would pick up the phone and she would sit there and she would talk to me in the middle of the night, no matter when, she was there talking to me. And so she was able to support me letting go of the medication that was keeping me stuck, because it's an energetic Band-Aid. You know, it's there to keep you sort of flatlined.
Yeah,
And
to not feel.
yeah. And for me in the beginning, that was important because parts of me were very suicidal. I had tried to commit suicide many times when I was a very young child. And so, and of course, I didn't realize how traumatized I was. That's the beauty of this journey. Norma's many times said, we walked into this journey in innocence. I didn't know how to integrate. You didn't know how to integrate, but Kuan Yin did. You know?
Yeah,
Jesus
I love the parts in your book where Norma stops and asks your own soul, you know, okay, what do we do next? And then Kuan Yin is always there as well, supporting and holding, and it was always through following your own essence, her own essence, and Kuan Yin's overlighting presence all the time, that you managed to overcome each challenge, each seemingly impossible situation that shows up. I remember once in a workshop where Norma shared the story about Toby being called when that darkness came in and threw you on the floor, and you weren't breathing, and you were sort of actually gonna be killed by that darkness inside of you. And then she intuitively calls Toby to come and eat hamburgers. And that stayed with me long before I ever read your book. And because it's, wow, you know, if we trust all the time, the answer is always there. And
yes, right here in this moment. Yes. This wants to tell us such an unbelievable story. It wants to exaggerate. It wants to manipulate. It wants to utter the lies. Oh, this is really bad. Oh, it's not true. Yeah. If you just do this. But if you're willing to drop down into the belly of you and see, the gift was Norma was in that state in a consistent all the time. Okay. And Kuan Yin would whisper to her, don't move. Don't scratch your arm. Don't blink too much. Sit in a stillness, because every part of her is ready to bolt out the door at the slightest movement. And she would sit in this stillness and make it so safe for the children that were watching to come out and talk to her. And you see, I remember Toby. I can see him vividly. I can see Robbie and Charlotte. I can see Roberta. I see each and every personality with such distinction that even today it's hard for me to realize it was my 40-year-old body jumping up on a boulder and saying, I'm big, you know. But it was, you know, but it wasn't experienced that way at all. And Norma was always there. She saw each personality as they were, because we started to connect so deeply, because we had had a contract before either of us was born that she would work this journey with me. She could see Toby and Robbie and all of the different personalities. You know, she saw Daniel so easily. She saw the monsters.
Wow. What an amazing journey. Really, really a journey of such deep love that I do believe that for many people it's even inconceivable that such a love exists, but it does. And you're living proof of that.
I am living proof of that, yes.
Could
a love
you
so pure that nothing can get in the way of it. That is the love that our souls have for us. a love that we as human beings cannot even comprehend. But if we are willing to receive that love through the breath, and we invite our souls to participate in our lives, and we do it long enough, we begin to realize we are the soul. We are higher consciousness. We no longer possess the identity of being the small mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a gradual change.
Serena, when you decided to call yourself Serena, because you had another name, right?
I was born Jennifer.
And how did that happen?
So I was born Jennifer, and I had been I first started in AA when I was 19. And then I went to therapists because instead of getting better, I got worse. And I began to connect with the truth of what had happened to me very, very, very slowly. Had no idea I was multiple. But I began to connect to the truth that, oh, I was molested. I was raped by my father. Oh, okay. And as each graduation of steps of awareness occurred, the truth came out of how victimized I was, how brutalized I was. And the name Jennifer seemed to be equal victim. And so about 6 months before I met Norma, I had always heard this voice. Always. Don't hide your light under a bushel basket and things of that sort. And I heard it say, you need to change your legal name. Oh, okay. And as I was waking up one morning, I heard very clearly, your name is Serena-Faith Masterson.
What a beautiful name.
Serene Faith, Master of the Christ within. That's what my name means.
Wow.
And so I went and I legally changed my name, and but nobody was really called Serena. You know, by the time we were diagnosed, everybody was, no, that's not my name. My name is whatever.
Inside of you, yeah.
Yeah. So it took a while until my consciousness was born into the body.
So you're Serena, you're actually Serena consciousness was born into the body.
Yes. Intentionally, when Sabrina was integrated, the soul host personality, then all of the children parts started to get integrated into the energy of who I am. And that started to build on the consciousness called me, Serena.
Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful way to change it. What seemed to be sort of an endless road into a path of so many potentials by changing your name. So thank you, Joanna, for sharing. Yes, it does. It really does.
Yes, it's in us. It's not out here. When you hear people say, well, my other half is out here, I'm looking for my soulmate and everything. That is really our soul saying, turn within to yourself. Turn within. Discover the love you are.
You had three children, right? So
3 boys.
you actually also had a relationship in order to have these children. So what was it like to live a relationship with someone whilst being multiple? So what kind of experience was that for you?
Well, Sandra fell in love with my ex-husband. That was one aspect, one personality. The poor man had no idea he was married to a multiple.
Oh, okay.
Because he was a very wounded human being himself. He had to be. And so it was a very chaotic relationship, but it was only for 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days.
Wow.
I had 3 sons. And I always laugh at all of the coincidences.
Yeah, the synchronicities.
Instance, when I had my twins, I did not realize the degree of training that I had gone through. My body was so trained, and I went 2 weeks overdue with my twins. And they called me into the hospital and they said, we're going to induce. And I said, well, wouldn't it be great if they could be born on different days? And so at 3 minutes to midnight, my first son was born. And 41 minutes later, my next son was born.
Wow.
And I didn't know until years later that that was how my body was. In the hospital, they thought I had an appendicitis when I was, in the hospital, the mental hospital, for 8 months. And they did an ultrasound and they saw that my appendix was swollen and everything. And they went to get the doctor and they came back to do the ultrasound and they couldn't find the appendix.
Whoa.
People don't realize how trained a human being can become. I literally was like a living robot.
Which was the aim of the training, actually.
Yes.
The thing that amazes me is, how can someone conceive something like this? But that's another issue. But you were really, really trained.
That was brought into this planet, that degree of evil.
That degree of inconceivable evil.
And see, if we as human beings want to pretend it's not like that, then we support the darkness. Not because we want to, but because we're skittish about it.
We're pretending.
Yes. And it's important for people to realize that they get to choose in every moment. When you go on a roller coaster and you're screaming and it's scaring you to death, you are creating the energy of fear in your physical body. That is not loving you. When you go to a movie and you want to be scared half out of your wits, you are creating the energy of fear in your body.
And it's absolutely seductive.
Oh, it's poison. Very seductive. Yes.
That was one of your biggest challenges, right? To release that seductive pull.
The manipulation, have you ever seen Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
And where Anthony Hopkins goes, with his mouth, and then he goes fava beans and all that is evil. That is how it is. It is seductive. It lies to us. And because of mass consciousness, we as human beings are born into life with a veil, so to speak. And so we all have the same stories we tell ourselves. Well, if you just did it better, if you just were good enough, well, he treated you that way, she treated you that way because you're bad. Every human being has those beliefs. And as long as we ignore it, it gets to run our lives.
So what would your advice be to every human being in that sense?
To pay attention to this thing that talks to us. To breathe, make a point every single day to start to connect in your core, in your breath, to invite your soul into your life. I was working with a young woman today on the phone and I said, remember in the book when I took out a notebook and Norma had me write on one side what the mind was saying and what on the other side the soul was saying. For me, that was very important. And I did that for a long, long time. And what it did is it helped me to begin to connect to the energy that my mind is and the energy that my soul is. And my soul is never judgmental, never is hurtful or harsh or says you could have done it better. She always invites me to be in the stillness and look at the truth. Over the years, she'd say, let's feel this anger. And I'd go, oh no, I'm too scared. And she'd say, it's okay. I won't let it get too big. Breathe with me. Let this part of you tell you how angry it is. Because this whispers a lot. And if we just push it aside like this, it really runs us. That's why
Definitely.
women stay in abusive relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people are on drugs and drink excessively. They want to get away from the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we want to run from the pain gets to run us.
Definitely. Yeah. That exercise that you're talking about was shared with me during master mentoring, which I did with Norma. And ever since, I share it with everyone because it helped me tremendously. Actually, if I would to say what was one of the key things that you did that helped you with integration, it's exactly that. On one side, ask your mind, let it speak, write what it's saying, and feel what your soul says. Feel how your soul communicates. Dive into that. And the soul never screams or shouts or imposes or pushes or pulls. None of that. It's always also very simple and so sweet and caring. It's a completely different kind of feeling, but also
It's
very
like
firm.
this. The soul is like this.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here. Yesterday, I had to work with my heart. My heart was hurting, physically hurting. And I have worked with this one part of my experience when I was 3. By the time I was 3, most of the core of me was put to sleep.
Mm.
My year when I was 3 years old is incomprehensible. And they wanted anything that I loved, anything that I cared for, they got rid of. And so yesterday I was working with this part of me, and I had already thought that I had integrated it, but I was invited to notice, no, there's even a greater depth of connection to this part of you. Could you breathe? And integration isn't just like, oh, I choose to integrate it. It's like that. No, sometimes integration takes my willingness to be in the stillness with this part of me that's wounded for days. However long it takes, I'm worth it. It isn't always an instantaneous fix. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's very clear it's time for this part of me to integrate, and it's easy. But other times, depending on the severity of the wounding, it takes a bit of time. And I'm still in the journey of becoming the fullness of who I am, a breath at a
I
time.
love it when you say, I'm worth it. That's so, so essential.
Yes, I am worth it. And it's not just words. I feel it. But in the beginning, I didn't. And that's what Norma's love gift to me, her compassion to me. It let me begin to unfreeze. Because I was frozen.
You were frozen in order to stay alive.
Yes. See, this is
To
the
be able
miracle
to do
of
this, to be
energy.
able to come here
Yes,
to
yes,
this
yes.
point in your life and be the one that is now so clear and sharing this love with all of us.
Yes, yes. It is a journey. It isn't a destination. And I used to hear that all the time, and I'd go, oh, God, one of those things, Because for me, I always just wanted to get there, wherever there was. I was not interested in the day-to-day, breath-by-breath experience. I mean, when I first realized how long a day was, I was shocked how long it lasted. It was like, oh, God, it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. How can this be,
And people complain that time flies because they're not in the body. That's why.
Yes.
There you are. So if you stay, time expands.
Yeah, you get to literally relish the moment, be in the moment. Norma would have me get into the tub, and she'd say, lay in the warm water and breathe. Let it touch your body. Could you stroke your arm? And I got to tell you, some of the stuff she asked me to do in the beginning was like, I didn't want to do it. She'd say, no, you can't go without eating until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'd say, but Norma, I like that. Then I don't feel hungry. She'd say, no, you need to start to eat protein. You need to eat 3 times a day. You need to pay attention to food. And because of my experience with food, that was one of the last things I wanted to do. So, it's whatever area of your life is really causing you to be stuck. If you'll stop running from it and sit down and, I have hundreds and hundreds of tapes with being in the hospital, tapes with my therapist, tapes with Norma. I have hundreds of journals. I would write down my feelings. I would see what was going on. And it just helped for me to stop running, because I didn't just have one train of thought. I had 30 trains of thought going on simultaneously. It can be done if you want.
Yes, of course it can. What I would say is, if you could do it with the level of pain you have experienced in this lifetime, anyone can do it if they really, really choose to surrender.
But it's one breath at a time. That's the thing people don't get. It doesn't all have to be done. Right. Like right now, I'm working with this 3-year-old child that experienced such a nightmare experience that I thought it was healed, but no, because my literal heart chakra, this part of my body, still needs some opening. So, I would go to the work at the bank, and I would be in the midst of such severe pain, and I would keep breathing, and I call Mom on the phone, Norma on the phone, and I'd go, just breathe with me. She'd go, okay, breathe.
Brilliant. Such a beautiful, beautiful love affair. I'd like to ask, if anyone who is watching, if you'd like to ask a question, please feel free to ask, because we will be able to see it and to share it. And Serena would be happy to answer. Before the interview, I asked if she would be willing to answer any question that someone might want to pose. When you were now telling the story of, it's not all at once. It takes time, it takes patience. But above all, it's what I can feel in your message is, it takes yourself to be willing to receive even more love, even more love, even more love. And it seems to be so immense that there's always more love to be received.
Yes, that's the gift. When I first started to breathe, when I worked with Norma, my legs would itch. Oh God, I couldn't stand to sit still. If she was leading me in breath and I could hear her voice, I could detach from my body enough to just breathe with her. But when I would breathe by myself, it was hard. It was really hard. But I didn't give up.
It's amazing how you managed to live alone. With all of these aspects running your game, and you were living alone, and you managed to have a life. It's sort of like, wow, even that your soul will show you how to take care of your daily life, even amidst the greatest dissociation. And another thing that strikes me is, when someone has gone through what you have gone, you're not worried whether you're going to be a vegetarian or a vegan or breatharian or whatever. That isn't even relevant.
Well, I did try to be a vegetarian. I was working with Norma in the beginning, and it was in the first or second year of working with her when I was still driving down to San Diego to see her from LA. And I decided I'm going to be a vegetarian. Oh, I went off on all these different ideas. And so I bought all this broccoli and I was going to eat it raw. And oh my God, it just
Eat it raw.
Oh my God. And Norma just say, no, Serena, you're not going to be a vegetarian. We want to ground you in your body. This is what you're going to eat. And I'd go, oh, okay. And okay. Because for me, you have to comprehend, no matter whether the personality seemed to be 33 years old, in truth, every single personality was maybe child. 3 or 4 years old. And so this lady would say, now I want you to take a bath whenever you're feeling too upset. Okay. And I was such a good rule keeper. I followed the rules because of the training. Yeah. So what she taught me became my rules of how I would do things. And when I lived by myself for 7 years, and she would come and visit me, and then she'd go out on those trips, teaching all of you guys. And of course, I didn't know that she was talking to everybody about me. She had very clear rules that she and my soul had set up. I couldn't answer the door. I couldn't go outside for any reason. During the summer, I had a huge garbage can in my other room where it kept all of my garbage and my trash. I mean, she would go and she'd buy 2 and 3 weeks worth of food. And I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't answer the door. I couldn't talk to anybody on the phone. The rules were very,
for 6 years, right? As far as I remember from your book.
6 years and 3/4. Yeah.
But because you weren't living time, it didn't seem so long, probably, I suppose.
No, and I'd watch
a long time.
I'd live in the TV. I'd live with the adventures of the TV. Yeah, the dissociation.
And you also had rules to what you could watch or not watch, and so on. So you did keep the rules. You were obedient in that sense.
If I didn't keep the rules, I told her. And so I'd rather keep the rules and not have to tell her. I was always amazed at how I let the cat out of the bag. I was always and have always been 100% honest with her.
Wow. Yeah, she deserved that much for all the love she has dedicated to this coming back home of both of you, basically, because Norma was also sort of discovering how to integrate with people, how to do that work of integration with other people through your own example, through how it was happening with you. So basically it was university, ongoing university, and she was also doing her own integration within the process. So it was really, really tough university, but loving.
Yes, and then
so loving, one can't conceive that much love, right?
And
from the mind.
The courage, the commitment. I mean, Garrett got cancer in 2004, so that was then added to her plate. Yeah. So she was working with various clients, seeing me, going all over the world, teaching people, helping Garrett with his journey and where he was at.
This is what the soul can do. It can do what we never think is possible. We have a comment here from Joanna, that we share this same dedication, this same commitment with integration. We've also been through that, such a love that you cannot even explain it, but you're always there. And no matter what time, please breathe with me, and we're there. And that is how we do it, really, because it's with our own soul, with the soul of whoever is sort of has made this contract with us, and our guiding masters who are always there, and who we agreed upon before coming. I remember very clearly, before incarnating in this lifetime, there was a time when I was always asking myself, why does it have to be so hard? Why does it have to be so hard? And then I was taken to right before coming in, and I was with all of the masters. There was Jesus, there was Kuan Yin, and there were several masters there, and I was there, and I was super happy there at the time and saying, yeah, I'm going through all of those experiences. Yes, that's going to be great and it's going to be fine. And they were telling me, you know, if you want to sort of take a little bit off your plate, it's okay. You can do that now before going in. And you sure you really want to, you know, go full house? You really want to go through all of this? We're gonna be there with you. It's okay, but you know, you can. And I was, oh yes, of course, this is gonna be fantastic, because I'm gonna you know, I'm gonna transcend all of these obstacles, all of these challenges that I've been going around in circles with for centuries. I mean, you know, it's time we got ourselves over this, and it's fantastic. Yeah, let's go. All I wanted to do was go. Come on, let's go. And I felt there was, when we think about the karmic board, is sort of like, before I used to think is sort of like they're judging. No, Mike, there was so much love, and they were just telling me, okay, you know, we're gonna be there with you 100% of the time. We are there. So no matter what, we are there, and that is absolutely true.
Even when you don't feel that they are there, they are. And when you invite your soul into your life, you're opening the door to that. Yeah. When I realized they said, this that you're choosing to do is a living nightmare. Are you sure you're going to be born into the darkest arena on the planet? And it was like, I cannot live 1,000 more lifetimes stuck in this game of fear.
Yeah.
And right now on this planet, just as we are seeing with the coronavirus, the darkness is very heightened. But that is because the light has come into so many people. So many people on this planet are looking to open to the truth of who they are in their journey, their way. But the light is the invitation that is happening so much across the planet, and it is causing the darkness to come out of hiding even more. That's why it seems like a very difficult, dark time, and it is. That's why my book has been written, so that people can begin to become honest with the fear is here. No, I wish it was more like Disneyland, you know, but that's not the truth of the way our planet works. And even this coronavirus is a creation of the darkness. And we can either choose to stay in our core, to love ourselves. You see, I'm not interested in getting the coronavirus. Yes, I wear a mask and a face shield when I go to work, and because I'm honoring the people around me and where they're at. I don't need anyone to be anything different than where they're at. But I invite people to be honest about this world, because the light beings on the other side are so invested. I mean, Kuan Yin came into Norma Delaney so fully that Norma is the essence of Kuan Yin in physical form. Those light beings can come into humans. Jesus and Kuan Yin said that they are so fully in my body as me that I am the embodiment of light beings. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not also very human. And just as Jesus was very human, but people didn't want him to be human. I didn't want Norma to be human. When I saw that her hair was messy in the back, I was just like, oh my God, what is this? How can she be perfect and her hair is messy? And that's in the book, you know, because I saw Norma as something other than human. And that disregards the brilliance of us as living beings.
Yeah, I have a beautiful experience with lady with a master called Nada. She has come into me as well, and at the beginning, I asked her, you know why, because you're such pure peace and silence. Why would you want to sort of meld with me, with my own essence? because together, our combination, your essence and me, is a totally new experience. It brings the experience of soul into a completely different level. Even when I'm an ascended master, I can have this different experience with you on earth to bring even more wisdom from a different point from within the human. And then I was, so how do I know if I'm hearing you or if I'm hearing Aeelah, my essence? And it doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
So you're hearing all of it. It doesn't
Yes.
matter because that's
That's the
it.
beauty, because, our culture, especially in the United States, really objectifies the movie stars. They have to be so beautiful and all these things. And in the last few years, the movie stars can be overweight. They can be a myriad of things that in the past, oh no, we didn't want to see.
Yeah.
But, it's coming to love the whole of us as we are in this moment.
And in this
Not when I
body.
lose 50 pounds, or
Yeah.
not when I get a facelift, or,
Hmm.
I'm 65 years old now, and I don't feel 65. But this body is a miracle, that all the things that I have gone through. I was stabbed and electrocuted and all those things, and my body is so healthy. That is the brilliance of my soul.
Yeah.
Yes, I was told that my soul wrapped me in layers of this energy that literally blocked the electricity, blocked the trauma, so I didn't experience it at 100%. Our
Wow.
brilliance is just amazing.
It is. It makes anything possible when
Anything.
you actually choose which way you want to go.
Yes.
And at this moment on earth, there is this very clear opportunity to choose where each one of us wants to
Yes.
be.
More fully than ever before.
Yes.
What do
Yes.
you choose? Do you choose the light or the dark? Do you choose to hate yourself, or do you choose to love yourself?
Yeah.
That's the
We've
gift of
got
this time.
a few more comments. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you also for sharing your comment.
Thank you.
And then here, Gerd, your story is incredible and amazing, Serena. I'll thank you for having willingness, compassion, and patience to come back to yourself with the help from Norma Delaney. What a great and brilliant work you both have been working on. I have just received your book and read a few pages, and I'm in awe. Thank you very much. And now here, Helen, thank you for sharing your story. I'll keep your phrase in my heart. I am worth it.
Oh. If you look at the jewel, look at this beautiful jewel, this beautiful blue topaz that Norma gave me one year. She gave me jewelry. I had never cared about jewelry, and now I love it. But this jewel is the beauty, the brilliance of us in physical form. When we wake up in the morning and our hair is standing on end and we may have sleep in our eyes and we crawl out of bed, that is the beauty, the brilliance of us. And I'm just like anybody else, I'd love to look beautiful all the time, but that's not reality. And that's one of the gifts Norma gave me, is because my birth mother was so obsessed with how she looked, believing that if she was beautiful, she could control her world and feel good. That's not where it comes from. It comes from within. This energy of us, this aliveness of us that says, I love you. You're a miracle. I'm so proud of you. Keep breathing. How courageous you are to show up into your life. Because right now on our planet, it isn't very easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can we accept that? You know, people are afraid. Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So I would say we could actually we've been having this special conversation for an hour, and that message that you have just left with us is fantastic to just wrap up the
Yes.
whole conversation, the whole sharing. You have had the courage to come here live, to show yourself to everyone, and just be fully
Yes.
authentically in that
Just
love.
me. Just me. You
Yeah.
know, be whoever you are in any given moment from the core of you, for that is the truth of who you are. And thank you for having me.
Thank you also. Thank you also, Serena. Thank you for the invitation, because actually it was the other way around, though. Because it was something you said, wait a minute, we could do this interview tomorrow or today or whatever. And it had never ever occurred to me. So for me, it's a very, very big privilege and honor, a big responsibility, really, to be with you in this space, sharing about this, for me, fundamental, for the whole of humanity, this fundamental message that you are bringing now to Earth.
There can be no excuse. There is nothing that is too horrible, too awful, that you cannot face. Hear that. For every single thing I've had to face from my past, from being in a satanic cult and be brainwashed by the government, nothing made my soul turn her back on me. Nothing. That is the glory of the brilliance of light of who we are.
Total, complete acceptance.
Yes. No judgment. This is the judger. Shh. Needs to be quiet. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Serena.
Thank you.
You.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you also to everyone who has been on this live broadcast, because your presence has also built this safe, beautiful space in which we have been communicating. Thank you for being there, for being here with us.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.